Something is moving around 3i Atlas, and the instant the signal appeared, the ordinary rhythm of observation collapsed into a stunned stillness. No one expected a clean, repeating trace orbiting an interstellar object, yet there it was, sharp as a blade and impossibly consistent. It wasn't dust, it wasn't debris, and it wasn't drifting freely through space the way every model said it should. It moved with intention, with pattern, with a rhythm that felt almost rehearsed, and each new cycle pushed the mystery deeper into territory no one was prepared for. Researchers watched the data come in with attention that nodded their shoulders and quickened their breath. The orbiting signature had no right to exist. Interstellar visitors arrive alone, silent, and chaotic. They don't come with companions. They don't carry orbiting objects. They don't behave like systems. Yet 3i Atlas did, and the implications pressed like a weight onto every mind studying it. The first confirmation came from a light dip so clean it felt surgical. An object had passed between 3i Atlas and the observing instruments, and the shadow it left was too neat for chaos. Minutes later it happened again, same depth, same shape, same interval. A loop had formed, a clockwork signature around a visitor that should have been utterly alone. The regularities made stomachs sink. Nothing natural behaved this way, not at this scale, not around a transient traveler from deep space. Researchers tried to blame noise, calibration errors, and instrumental quirks, but the data refused to collapse under their attempts. It stood firm, forcing them to confront a truth they didn't want to acknowledge. More telescopes locked on, more data streamed in, and then the object revealed something no one expected. Its reflections weren't random. They shifted in short, deliberate flashes, like light bouncing off angled surfaces. Not facets of ice, not the tumble of a rock. These were planar, intentional, almost architectural. It was as if the thing orbiting 3i Atlas had been built, not born. No one said the word out loud, but the idea seeped into the room anyway. If it was artificial, then 3i Atlas was no ordinary visitor. Older observations were combed line by line. Nothing. For months, 3i Atlas looked silent and predictable. Then, one day, as if triggered by some hidden threshold, the orbiting object appeared. That timing alone sent shivers through even the most skeptical analysts. Had the object activated, deployed, turned toward Earth? Or had it simply revealed itself because it chose to? The question lingered like static, filling every corner of the discussion with a tension that wouldn't fade. Then came the size estimate, only a few meters across. Too small to hold a stable orbit by chance, too stable to be drifting rubble. It circled 3i Atlas with a precision that felt almost loyal. No wobble, no lag, no drift, like a bead locked on a perfectly cut track. The word purpose crept into conversations even when researchers avoided it. Every measurement narrowed the possibilities further. Whatever it was, it followed rules no natural object obeyed. Yet it showed no engines, no jets, no heat, nothing that betrayed propulsion or reaction. It moved silently, invisibly, as though bound to a principle no one had mapped. This contradiction pushed the mystery into dangerous territory. If it wasn't natural, and it wasn't a machine as humans understood machines, then what category did it belong to? What force let it maintain such a clean orbit? Why did it adjust position at intervals too deliberate to be random? The first orbital shift set off alarms, a tiny correction, a nearly perfect nudge. Natural debris reacts. It doesn't anticipate. But this object anticipated. The microshift aligned exactly with Earth's changing observation angle, as if the object understood when and how it was being watched. The word coincidence lost meaning quickly. Everything lined up, too neatly, too cleanly, too purposefully. When a radio sweep passed through the region, something unexpected bounced back. Not a message, not noise, a structured echo, faint but undeniable, a return that signaled awareness. Analysts repeated the sweep, the return repeated. At that moment, the orbiting object crossed a line from anomaly to actor. Something near 3I Atlas was not just present, it was reacting. More troubling patterns surfaced. 3I Atlas itself began exhibiting subtle deviations from its predicted course. Small bends, slight accelerations, nothing dramatic, nothing reckless, but enough to suggest influence. Some blamed solar radiation, others played with gravitational anomalies. But beneath every explanation, another possibility emerged like a shadow at the edge of vision. The orbiting object was guiding it. A guardian, a tether, a scout, or something operating far beyond human categories. Brightness flickers added another layer of unease. They were timed, measured, controlled, not reflections from random tumble.
Not solar glints, a rhythm, a language, but one far too compressed and too foreign to decode. The models broke under the strain of trying to map it. Every simulation diverged, every hypothesis contradicted another, and in that chaos, one consensus formed. The object was performing a task, and 3I ATLS was the core of that task. But why? Why accompany a rock through interstellar space? Why reveal itself only now, only briefly, only when observation windows lined up perfectly? Unless the exposure was part of the plan. As the anomaly reached the public sphere, speculation exploded. Surveillance device, alien probe, autonomous courier, ancient machine, emerging AI. Every idea burned through forums and labs at a speed fueled by both dread and fascination. Even institutions normally allergic to conjecture showed cracks in their skepticism, because one question overshadowed everything. If something is orbiting 3I ATLS, then what is 3I ATLS? A simple rock would not need an escort. A harmless object would not carry an active companion. A random traveler would not behave with such curated precision. The possibility that 3I ATLS was carrying something, or was something, rewrote the stakes entirely. The mystery was no longer about the orbiting object alone. It was about the relationship between the two. The next observation window became a global event. Every major array aimed its sensors at the coordinates. Every researcher prepared for data that could break more than models, data that could break assumptions about humanity's isolation. When the new readings arrived, they revealed something that tore through the scientific community like a shock wave. The orbit had tightened, not by drift, not by decay, by choice. The companion object had repositioned itself closer to 3I ATLS at the exact moment the comet-like body displayed a subtle increase in velocity. They moved as one, synchronized, as if preparing for a coordinated action. Something was coming, something the companion seemed built to anticipate. Even more unsettling, the timing aligned with a brief blind spot. For several hours, Earth would be unable to observe 3I ATLS due to solar interference. A gap, a curtain, a moment without witnesses. Why would anything care about an observational gap unless it understood the presence of observers? Minutes before the object slipped into glare, it flared, just a fraction brighter, but unmistakably intentional. A flash like a signal, a trigger, the start of a sequence no instrument could track. Analysts scrambled to interpret it, but the window closed too fast. 3I ATLS and its silent escort vanished behind the blinding wall of solar light. Now the world waits. Telescopes are ready, algorithms are primed. The next emergence could redefine everything humanity thinks it understands about intelligence, intention, and the boundaries between stars. And as the moment approaches, a single question grows louder, heavier, impossible to silence.
When 3I ATLS returns to view, will the object still be orbiting it? Or will something entirely new be following instead? Whatever emerges, one truth is unavoidable. The behavior we have witnessed is not random, not accidental, not the echo of natural forces drifting through the void. It is the signature of intention, and intention implies agency. Agency implies origin, and origin implies a creator, a purpose, a design that stretches beyond the boundaries of our imagination. As researchers prepare for the next data burst, they confront an uncomfortable reality. Humanity is not merely observing a visitor, it is standing at the threshold of an encounter. Some believe the object is a scout, gathering data on solar systems it enters. Others argue it is a protective shell around something hidden inside 3I ATLS, a form of cargo that cannot be exposed. A smaller but louder faction insists it is a beacon, guiding the interstellar traveler on a trajectory mapped long before humanity learned to walk upright. But among all the theories, one stands out with chilling resonance. What we are seeing now is only stage 1. If the companion object activates further, if it deploys additional components, if it detaches, if it accelerates independently, it may reveal an architecture unlike anything found in nature. And if that happens, the classification of 3I ATLS will be forced to change. No longer a comet, no longer an interstellar rock, but something engineered, something dispatched, something with a mission. In the silence before new data arrives, a deeper realization spreads among those watching the mystery unfold. The universe has always been vast, ancient, and indifferent, yet this event feels different. It feels directed. It feels as though humanity has stumbled into the path of something far older and far more deliberate than any natural wanderer. And whether its purpose is observation, exploration, or something still hidden behind layers of intention, its presence forces a shift in perspective that cannot be undone. Whatever comes next will shape every question we ask from this moment onward. Now.